How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. What will David Montgomery's stats look like in 2020, and where will he finish in regards to other running backs in the league? We're going to be answering these questions and many more today in episode number 38 of Uncut. Welcome back to the show, guys. I would like to say, we are 24 subscribers away from 1.5K. If you are new to the channel, do us a favor, subscribe for Bears content every day of the week. Also, click the bell for notifications whenever we post so you can see our live premieres, and also like the video. We are trying to hit 1.5K this weekend. We have a lot of fun stuff planned. We're going to be putting out new merchandise, kind of like a channel rebrand. You're going to see a lot of new stuff, so we're very excited for that. I am your host, Chris Maltby, and today I'm joined with my co-host, Parth Shaw, for an all-inclusive David Montgomery episode. Parth, how's it going, man?
Doing good. Just graduated high school yesterday. Didn't have much of a graduation party. That's something, hopefully.
I'm sure you must be relieved to be done, though. I finished college up about a week and a half ago, and that was pretty relieving. Even though all I do now is like sit around, work out, and do this stuff. Can't forget about playing video games.
Doing too.
Yeah.
It's better than doing schoolwork, though.
Absolutely. Anything is better than schoolwork, even just lounging around during this quarantine. So today we're here to talk about David Montgomery, obviously a highly touted player, a third-round pick in that 2019 NFL Draft. Came to Chicago, had a pretty solid year last year, I would say, behind an O-line that was pretty porous. So let's talk a little bit about him. We're going to make our stat predictions for him in this video. Also just talk about how we think he's going to stack up in the league in 2020. So let's get right into it. So in 2019, David Montgomery played in all 16 games. He had 242 rushes for 889 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. That's 3.7 yards per attempt. Not terrible, but also not great by any means. He was also a pretty solid back there in the receiving game. He was targeted 35 times, caught 25 of those passes for 185 yards and a touchdown. So if you look at his total yards, that'll add up to 1,074 yards from scrimmage, 4 yards per touch in general if you average it out, because he had, I don't even know how many yards he had per catch, I can't even lie to you. But also 7 touchdowns total, 6 on the ground there. Sorry, Pro Football Reference is a little bit confusing sometimes. But he did catch 71.4% of his balls. You know, the Bears obviously brought in Mike Davis there in 2019, but it turns out that Montgomery was pretty solid as a receiving back. So 7 total touchdowns, almost 1,100 yards per scrimmage. Now if we take a look at what the Bears did to the offensive line this offseason, it's not a lot, but it's looking like it's going to be at least a little bit salvageable. They signed Germain Ifedi, the 2016 31st overall draft pick, to a 1-year deal, a veteran's minimum deal. He's going to come in, switch back from tackle over to guard. Should be interesting to see what he can do here under Juan Castillo. And then you look at Jason Spriggs, the former Green Bay Packer that was selected, I believe, a little bit later than Cody Whitehair a couple of years ago. Has played in 37 career games, only 9 starts, has dealt with some injuries throughout his career. But hopefully Castillo can bring out the best in him if healthy. And then the Bears add 2 more offensive linemen in Lachavious Simmons, Arlington Hambright in the draft, 2 developmental pieces, but who knows what can come out of them. Also, the Bears brought back Rashad Coward, an interesting one, a piece that used to be on the D-line, who now is going to be entering his 2nd year at offensive guard, so you never know. He could also unlock his potential and be a decent piece there. But as of right now, you know, Larry Warford's still on the free agent market. But for now, I think Ifedi is slated to start. I don't know how I feel about that, essentially. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We'll have that discussion another day. But that's just a little bit of an update on the offensive line. You look at Charles Leno, 13 penalties, 6 sacks allowed in 2019. Not the greatest year from him. Bobby Massey was okay. A lot of people like to dog on Bobby Massey, but he wasn't terrible, I would say. So, looking at the offensive line, they're looking to improve in 2020. And with that, David Montgomery is also looking to improve in 2020. A good running game is the quarterback's best friend. So, Parth, I'm going to pass it to you. So, I'm not sure exactly where Montgomery finished in regards to running back rankings last year. But obviously, you know, he looks to improve this offseason. Looks to be probably the Bears player that takes the biggest jump, if not Anthony Miller, on that offensive side of the ball. So where do you think by the end of the 2020 season, you would rank Montgomery in regards to all the running backs and how they produce in the league?
Yeah, I want to say top 10 to be optimistic, but I'm going to just say top 15 to be safe. I feel like he has potential to be one of the best running backs in the league. We heard what Prince Amukamara said when he joined the Beared Down podcast. He said that Montgomery works just as hard as anyone in the NFL or on the team. I think Montgomery has a lot of potential in him. The offensive line definitely held him back last year, and Matt Nagy's play calling was atrocious. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't know how much Mark Helfrich was a part of that and Harry Hiestand, but the play calling from the run game standpoint was just terrible. We'd run away from the run game if we had one or two bad runs in the beginning of the game. You got to keep pounding the ball. Something that I liked what Minnesota did was establish the run before you establish the pass, and that helped Kirk Cousins out a lot. Cousins is not a great quarterback by himself by any means, but with Dalvin Cook, he was a great quarterback. And that's what the Bears got to do with Nick Foles or Trubisky. They both can't be throwing 40, 50 passes a game. We need Montgomery to be that workhorse back, which I know he can be, but that is up to what, Juan Castillo and our new offense coordinator, Bill Lazor, decide to do now.
So as far as rushing yards per game go, you look at the players in 2019, obviously Derrick Henry up there. He finished with 102.6 rushing yards per game, but David Montgomery is going to fall at 23rd in that ranking. He did finish above players like Le'Veon Bell, Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon, Kerryon Johnson. Also finished a little bit below guys like Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley, Adrian Peterson, and Phillip Lindsay. So looking to bump him up a little bit more, Devin Singletary, the rookie with the Buffalo Bills that the Bears were interested in that 2019 draft, finished at 15th. I'm going to go top 16 for David Montgomery, a similar prediction to Parth here in 2020. I think the offensive line will be salvageable. You look at the offensive line and you have to think it can't get much worse, and if it does get worse, we're going to see a lot of change on that offensive line. So I think he's going to be better. I also think, agreeing with Parth, that the Bears do need to find a way to use him a little bit more. 55 rushing yards per game is not that bad. He also had 242 rushing attempts. I think he was decent there with the offensive line that he had, and I think he's definitely looking to improve heading forward. I think he's only going to get better as the years go on. A lot of people who aren't Bears fans don't understand that he can really be a special player in this league. He's incredibly elusive. He can break a lot of tackles. But that being said, the head coach needs to help him run the ball more. By the way, Matt Nagy has said that they are going to commit to the run more in 2020. And also, just in general, I think the offensive line needs to help him a little bit more. Not only for the sake of him, but for the sake of whoever is behind center, whether it's Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles. If the offensive line is at least slightly better, that can lead to a subpar, if not better, offense. And in general, Montgomery, I believe, will see more looks in 2020. So I'm going to have him finishing top 16 in the league. I also think as far as fantasy football goes, just on a little side note, he'll be a pretty solid running back in fantasy. But now is the important question. Obviously, a lot of people have some pretty good predictions for him in 2020. He had almost 900 rushing yards here in 2019 and almost 200 receiving yards. Parth, I'm going to pass it back to you. Give me a rough estimate stat prediction for David Montgomery's rushing yards, receiving yards, and total touchdowns in 2020.
I'm going to go with, as long as if the Bears can commit to the run game and not just move away from it if it doesn't work out the first couple times, I think he can get up to 1,200 rushing yards. I'm going to say 250 receiving yards and 10 total touchdowns.
Okay. I got something a little bit similar to you. So you had 1,200, that's 1,450 and 10 touchdowns. Okay. I'm going to go with 1,100 rushing yards. So that's about 220 more than he had this year. 300 receiving yards to get him up to 1,400. Maybe, I'd say 350, 400 actually, probably for the receiving yards. I'm going to have him around 1,450, 1,500 total yards from scrimmage. That's a bold one. I'm also going to go 9 or 10 touchdowns. I think overall we just see a big jump from David Montgomery in 2020. I think he's definitely a player that's going to come up and really step up to the plate this year. I think a lot of people are going to know who he is after this year, and I think we're all really, really excited to see what he can bring to the table. Looking to be a good year as long as he can get the help he needs. And Parth mentioned it earlier. He needs to get those touches. Those are going to be incredibly important, and I do think that he'll get the touches that he needs because Matt Nagy was not doing the best with his run scheming last year. Obviously, now you have a new run game coordinator, new offensive line coach, and also a new offensive coordinator. So a lot of new faces in Chicago, and I think they all are dedicated to and know that the rock needs to be touched a little bit more by Montgomery down the road. So that's pretty much going to do it for us, guys. Episode number 38 of Uncut. I hope you guys did enjoy. Once again, do us a favor, subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're so close to 1.5k subs. Also, click the bell for notifications whenever we post, and drop a like before you head out of this premiere. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, beareddown.com. We're posting articles, columns, and blogs every day. There's a ton of good things to read over on our site. And you can also find us on Instagram at Beared Down, and also on Twitter. If you are also on Instagram, you can find the links to our Instagram fan pages down in the description. All of our hosts have some fan pages that are pretty interesting follows. And that's pretty much going to do it for us, guys. Parth Shaw, it's been a pleasure. It's about to rain soon. You got any plans for later?
No, not really. I was gonna stay home today. Stay quarantined. I think it's the last couple of days of just the stay-at-home order. It's gonna be fun to just get back outside and just live out the summer because the weather's getting super nice here in Chicago.
So it looks like the stay-at-home order as of right now is going to be lifted on May 29th. That's a rough prediction, but I do have a haircut scheduled for May 30th at noon. So a week from today, I can finally get a trim for the first time since, I kid you not, like Christmas time. So that should be very interesting. Illinois entering stage 3 of the Restore Illinois process. We're hoping to speed this up as quickly as possible, get everything back to normal. But do us a favor, stay safe. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Chicago, do us a favor, and as always, bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.